Gun violence is a global social justice issue in which has become pervasive in its impact on individuals all throughout the world. In its totality, the rise of gun violence can be attributed to an overproduction of firearms landing within the hands of civilians, a lack of gun regulations, a lack of strategic violence prevention and reduction initiatives, and group disparities in the various social determinants for health. There has been a noticeable increase in gun-related violence throughout the world. Thus, it is unsurprising that this has been the result of a dramatic spike in the production of firearms. For instance, Amnesty International, a non-governmental organization in which fights to protect human rights, found that there are 8 million new small arms and up to 15 billion rounds of ammunition produced each year. Hence, with an overabundance of firearms being produced, a portion of them are inordinately making their way into the hands of civilians. According to the Small Arms Survey, which is recognized as the principal international source of impartial and reliable information on all aspects of small arms, there are estimates that of the 1 billion firearms in global circulation as of 2017, over 857 million, 85%, are in civilian hands. Therefore, as civilians have procured an unprecedented amount of these deadly weapons, incidents involving gun violence have been on the incline. This is particularly true for the United States, as it was found by Giffords, an American advocacy and research organization dedicated to saving human lives from gun violence, that America is leading in the number of gun violence deaths when compared to other high-income nations. As for every 100,000 deaths, America has a staggering 11.2 gun deaths, while Switzerland has only 2.8, France has 2.4, and Canada has 1.9. Giffords, 2020. This is not shocking when considering that America also has the weakest gun laws and the most guns, 393 million of any comparable nation. Giffords, 2020. To truly understand the severity of gun violence within the United States, it is crucial to look at aspects of gun access and its inherent risks. With that said, it was asserted by Everytown for Gun Safety, which is an American nonprofit organization that advocates for gun control and against gun violence, that access to a firearm alone doubles the risk of death by homicide. With minimal gun regulations and a lack of strategic violence prevention initiatives in place, it is no wonder how over 58% of American adults or someone they care for has experienced gun violence in their lifetime. Everytown for Gun Safety, 2020. Moreover, homicide by gun violence is not equally dispersed across the 50 states. Instead, research has shown that communities of color are disparately impacted by gun violence relative to that of white communities. Giffords, 2020. It is known that marginalized communities are relatively underfunded, typically reside in substandard housing, and hence experience increased chances of living in impoverished conditions, as well as increased chances of suffering from income disparities. These factors drastically alter one's life experiences, and especially so as it relates to gun violence. According to a study conducted by Daniel Kim, 2019, on firearm-related homicides, all of these factors are social determinants in which negatively impact one's health and, in this case, cause and heighten chances of experiencing gun violence. Gun violence has recently become a frequent occurrence and subject of concern in the city of Chicago, Illinois. According to Everytown for Gun Safety, the total deaths from 2014 to 2018 in Cook County, the county in which Chicago and its suburbs reside, had over 3,053 homicides by gun violence, 2020. The rate per every 100,000 was reported to be 11.7, one of the highest out of all Illinois counties. Moreover, it is also crucial to recognize that within Cook County, wealth and income are not distributed equally. Thus, areas that are typically seen as underfunded, impoverished, and occupied by Black and majority Latinx communities experience disparities in the social determinants for health, and these inequities cause there to be an increase and a subsequent concentration of gun violence to occur in these areas. A study conducted by Northwestern Institute for Policy Research 2018 on the crime in Chicago revealed that over 50% of the shootings in 2016 occurred in only a handful of neighborhoods in Chicago, these neighborhoods being disproportionately Black, Latinx, underfunded, and impoverished. Thus, the severity of this problem in Chicago, Illinois is that gun violence has a disproportionate effect on urban communities of color. Giffords, 2020. Things do not need to be this way. Everybody can actively do their part and get involved to address this social justice issue. There are numerous human rights organizations and nonprofits whose goal is to reduce the amount of overall gun violence. Amnesty International is one such group, who's been focusing its work on domestic gun reform and gun violence prevention by campaigning for regulations on firearm use and possession. Amnesty International 2020. To actively become involved, you have options of joining, volunteering, donating money, and/or signing petitions. Another way that you can get involved is through the national nonprofit organization, the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence. This organization has a heightened commitment to addressing gun violence and advocating for at-risk individuals. To get involved, you can sign a petition and/or donate money to their cause. All of these organizations are mechanisms of enforcement which hold human rights as their main goal in mind. Gun violence is a human rights issue and therefore should be handled in that way. And taking collective action to demand these human rights, to reduce the number of firearms being produced, to enforce stricter gun laws, to develop a unified violence prevention and reduction initiative, and to decrease group disparities regarding various social determinants of health, only then can we see gun violence decline.